Welcome to the 2021 Legislative Conversations virtual event. I'm Daxton Mays, Chairman of the Governmental Affairs Committee for the Hartselle Area Chamber of Commerce. The Hartselle Area Chamber of Commerce is committed to engaging our business community in the legislative process and want to take this opportunity to engage our businesses with our legislative body here in the local area. This event is generally part of our State of the State address and breakfast. However, this year we are offering this as a virtual event. Some of the questions you'll hear during this event came from the polling of our membership and community members to get their feedback to what they want to hear about and what they want to hear from our legislators. We are excited to be able to present this, and you will get to hear from our local legislative body, and we hope you enjoy.
In this third of 5 segments, we are going to address another one of the Hartselle Area Chamber of Commerce's pillars, community enhancement. Community enhancement is one of the pillars of the Hartselle Area Chamber, and you're going to hear questions regarding how our state is helping our region grow, how our state representatives and senators are working to help direct funding into our area, to encourage population growth, business growth, and even helping our law enforcement. So we hope you'll take time and enjoy this next segment and learn a lot. Okay, well, we're going to move out of that bucket and we're going to move over into a different area. We're going to talk about community enhancement. And most of the questions let me just back up and say, these questions that I'm presenting to you today are directly from our community. We put out a form and asked people to submit questions over the last several days, and we got a good representation here. And so these are questions that represent what's on people's mind. Some of them also show us that there's a little bit of disconnect or misinformation about your role. So I want you to speak to how much you're able to actually influence community enhancement projects in particular. So I'm going to ask some specific questions, but really that's what I want to hear. I want our community to understand what you're able to do at the state level that impacts Hartselle and the surrounding area directly. So the first question, this is for you, Scott. What legislation do you have in mind to support and protect our law enforcement?
Wonderful. I'm glad you asked that question, whoever it was. I will say last year, I had 2 pieces of legislation that Sheriff Ron Puckett and I went over, and he expressed some concerns. And like I said, anytime there is an issue, I'll be ready to bat for them. One of those concerns was when people flee and elude an officer when he's trying to pull them over. As of right now, it's not a stiff penalty, and these guys or gals, they know that. So when they see the blue lights and they have something bad in their car, instead of hitting the brakes, they punch it. And they get away at a safe distance, and they throw whatever they want to throw out the window, and then by the time they get pulled over, it's a misdemeanor and some fines. With that being said, the danger of that is not only the officer's life that's being put in danger, and also us, the citizens of Morgan County, having to watch out for this person driving probably at a erratic speed. That bill, me and another representative had basically the same bill. We got it through the House, but with COVID, we did not. It kind of killed it before it went to Senate. I had another bill that when officer pulls over an individual that does not have a driver's license or has never applied for a driver's license. That one was a fun bill for myself on the House floor. I think I was down there for about 3 hours fighting on it. Wow. But I will say it gives the officer the discretion to tow that vehicle and get that individual off the road. Because as of right now, the law states that all that officer can do is remove that person from the vehicle, citation them, and that's it. So that vehicle is still in the way. There was a lot of people, of course, arguing from different angles and different sides. But the biggest danger of that, if that person does not have a driver's license, guess what else they don't have? Insurance. And guess what happens when they hit you on the road? You're paying for it because they don't have an insurance card to do their part. So those two pieces of legislation, they're still in my back pocket. They're ready to file. The problem is I don't know what the sessions is going to bring. So we're going to kind of just take it slow, get the important stuff as far as local legislation, budgets. But I still plan on going forth with both of those pieces of legislation.
And let me just clarify, when you say you're not sure what the session's going to bring, that is in terms of what COVID is going to allow, or
Correct.
right. I just want to clarify that it's due to how to make sure that y'all are staying safe, and if there was an upsurge, then and y'all had to back off or make a change, then that would impact what you can bring forward. Okay, anything else you want to say about law enforcement?
Well, I want to say this too. My hats are off to our law enforcement officers. We're blessed in Morgan County. We've got some of the best law enforcement officers in the country. I would literally put them up against anybody. Mm-hmm. The involvement they have in the communities, the job that they do. We've had homicide in the city of Hartselle this past year that it really hit home with a lot of us. I personally knew the individual that was murdered. He actually worked with me, and it's something that I took very personal, and I was so happy for Chief Bailey's press conference, and I was actually present for that. And the job that they do and the sacrifices they make for us, I mean, I can't imagine. You know, when they see stuff in this community that we can't dream of, and they're willing to do that for us. So my daughter won't have to experience or see any of the harmful things that does happen in communities, and they just do a phenomenal job. And I want them to know we're always in support of them.
100%.
Yeah. And we have really enjoyed a low crime rate in this region, especially here in the city of Hartselle. And a lot of that is because we have a strong law enforcement. We have very caring citizens, but we want to make sure that our law enforcement has what they need to keep it that way. So we appreciate the efforts you're making to make sure that that's happening at the state level. Another community enhancement question, I'll ask this to both of y'all. What have you found to be the biggest obstacle to economic development for Hartselle in particular? I realize that y'all represent us at a state level, but you live and work here in this community. You understand economic development from a perspective that most citizens don't. So what do you find to be the biggest obstacle to economic development for Hartselle? It seems, and maybe my perception is wrong, this is the questioner saying, that the towns around us, like Coleman and Athens, are growing at a faster rate than Hartselle, even though it seems like Hartselle has the same resources to offer: a good school system, proximity to I-65, et cetera. So what would be your perspective on that, and even more so, what impact can you as a legislator play in seeing more of that happen here in Hartselle, in the area?
Great question, by the way. And we're always comparing ourselves to our neighbors, are we not? You always want to, see where you stand. I will say this, and Mayor Garrison and the council has been doing a phenomenal job. Just if you notice in the past 3 years of the dirt being turned and blocks being laid in this city is just honestly, it's unbelievable. From healthcare to restaurants and retails, and then also the infrastructure. We've had a lot of asphalt being laid, which also makes us look more attractive. The attractive part is key. It's very key, and it's important for our downtown to look very attractive, because when you try to get an industry to come to Hartselle, first off, they're going to have a long checklist, and they've got to check every single box before they even think about coming, which we have a lot of them. We've got interstate, we've got railroad, and we've got the 4-lane state highway that goes through Hartselle. So we've got a business park too that's sitting ready with the infrastructure there. The city recently voted to clear out, make it more attractive. Looks very good. So we're doing all we can, especially in a pandemic. Trying to build relationships is key. The mayor and council have done a phenomenal job. Me and Parker and them have a phenomenal relationship with our city and the Hartselle Chamber. But I've always, even when I was involved in the chamber, we would think of different industries that we would want to go after. And we would get a group of people and basically itemize down and find out what it's going to take to get them here. And sometimes they're just not coming. But I think making your city is as attractive as it can possibly be. Because when they come in, you want them to be impressed, right? Yep. So, and we're working on that, and we're doing that. I know the city's working on a new logo right now for the city. They're transferring City Hall down to the old bank. And we've got new asphalt almost all of our major roads in Hartselle. So, and we've got everything set up where it needs to be. We need this pandemic to get out the way, for life to get back to normal, for us to have meetings again and entice businesses to come.
And I'll add to that as a chamber president that it really takes every single community member to invest in this. Of course, our schools are a huge attractor. So being a quality participant in our schools, also keeping our crime rate low. And then every business owner here investing in making their business the absolute best that it can be. Do those small investments to keep your business looking good, being profitable. We're really excited about the sidewalk expansion that is coming here in the downtown area. And the Hartselle Chamber is working on some really exciting Main Street projects to help Main Street become an attractor and sort of almost an entertainment district that will draw new businesses and new families to come to this area. So lots happening behind the scenes. And so let me just direct to you, Parker, how is a state legislator involved in local community enhancement projects?
Absolutely. We can, from a legislative standpoint, help work on, packages, incentive packages with the local governments. And I think that, we look more now so than we used to as a regional effort. I know I've been working with Mayor Garrison and Mayor Heflin and Priceville and Mayor Tucker out in Somerville and Tab, Mayor Bowling in Decatur, and even Mayor Marks up in Athens, and Mayor Finley and Mayor Battle over in Huntsville, working together as a regional effort to try and attract some of these industries, big industries and businesses, back to our area. And in return, that, will bring, more people in and more growth and, good paying jobs.
And I'll say
it takes a village.
It does, and I'll say thank you, because I know some of the behind the scenes efforts that you all are doing to help redirect funding and advocate for special funding that does pass through the hands of the state, and we're really grateful for what you're doing to advocate for Hartselle. Got another community enhancement question. Parker, this one is for you. This question is for you, Parker. What are you doing to ensure the Morgan County portion of District 4 is not being left behind by other areas of Madison and the city of Huntsville?
Sure, Missy, thank you. I think working together as a regional effort with all the municipalities in our area to try and attract businesses, and also working with Jeremy Nell as the head of the Morgan County Economic Development Association, it's vital to work together as a team to try and attract these large industries, good paying jobs to our communities that in return will also help spur, residential development growth. And I think that's what you're seeing a lot of here in Morgan County right now. And we're going to continue to push and try and attract some of these tier 2, tier 3, suppliers to Morgan County. And I think you're going to see some of those pay off here in the next year or so.
I think that we've already touched on how well positioned Hartselle is for that. And
Absolutely.
I think from a lot of different angles, the Morgan County Economic Development Association, we here at the local level with Mayor Garrison and the City Council, myself as a chamber representative, and then you all of us working together can help make that happen. So, it's definitely a high priority to us, because we don't want to get left out in this growth, but I think it's going to happen no matter what.
And I will say, going to high-speed internet, Joe Wheeler is unrolling their high-speed internet packages, and I would encourage everybody to sign up for it if you haven't. That's vital in recruiting high-paying residential and industrial jobs and communities, because a lot of these rural areas, if you don't have that, nobody will even look at you. So bringing that in is vital for laying the infrastructure to help expand and bring in some of those industries out, say, in a little bit more of the county areas and here in Morgan County. And, I think that's something that we're working on doing, and Joe Wheeler is helping lay the groundwork for that, which I applaud them. That's critical, especially bringing in more healthcare type jobs, educational type jobs. And, I can't say it enough, that it's like bringing in, TVA electricity back in the 30s. It's going to completely transform our whole landscape and capabilities of what we're able to do for the future for our communities.
Well, I would say as a representative for the Hartselle area that please advocate for that for us at the state level, because I totally agree. You're absolutely right. And those things are essential, and we need them. We need them here in Hartselle, and we need to not be left behind. Let's see. I'm going to ask this of you, Scott.
Okay.
The entire north central Alabama area will see a significant growth in the next 2 to 5 years. The Toyota plant coming online, with business to support the manufacturing of that plant and production of vehicles, along with the recent announcement of Space Force coming to Huntsville. How will the state delegates support the smaller cities that don't have a large dedicated economic development department? I think we're kind of asking a lot of the same questions, but.
Yeah, and we actually have a phenomenal department with Jeremy Nails. They do a phenomenal job. I would like to say too, and our goal is with these industries coming in to get some tiers off of those. Mm-hmm. We need definitely to focus on Toyota Mazda and everything we possibly can to fill in our business parks and get the tier jobs that we can get. One of the things that we have not touched base on, and it goes back to how well Hartselle is doing right now, is ask any real estate agent in this town how many houses are available on the market. And I'm going to tell you right now, the number as of yesterday was 38. So a year ago from now, it was over 200. So for us to bring in jobs, we also need to bring in more development. So we need more places for them families to live. There's a lot of people coming with those jobs from Toyota Mazda and from on the Arsenal. So we need to also work on, and that's kind of in my category as well, but we need to have places for these families to live. Our school system speaks for itself. When I tell people I represent the city of Hartselle and they're an educator from another place, I don't have to say anything else. They know, because we've got a loud voice with our educational system throughout our state. But I think the pandemic has to get over with and meetings have to start occurring again. And that's where we can fill in. That's where we can show our interest. And also with Jeremy Nails, and he's already on it, I assure you that, and Mayor Randy Garrison. But we have to get back to normalcy a little bit before, because, we don't feel comfortable sitting in meetings with a bunch of people right now, especially from people from up north or different states. It's just a different world right now. So once we get back to normalcy, I think that's what we need to do, is just start meeting with Jeremy, finding out the key things we need to do as legislators, and I assure you he lets us know if we can help in any way.
That's right. And, I'll just say that I have been in meetings with these gentlemen, and these conversations are happening all the time. All the time. We talk about this all the time. And so just to assure you that those things are happening, and we're excited about the future of the growth of Hartselle, and really thankful for those that are investing in that on a daily basis. Let me just ask this question, though, just to help the community understand a little bit more. What opportunities are there for matching funds to enhance our communities? What does that look like at the state level, as far as what kind of funds come through your hands? What processes do you have to go through in order to help get them allocated for projects that the different cities might have? And I've been learning about this from the municipal level, but I'd love to hear it from the state level. Let's say the city of Hartselle has a project road work, maybe, for example, the sidewalk project that came through. What kind of funds come through the hands of our state legislators, and what kind of work do you all have to do in order to get them allocated?
So recently, City of Hartsville was just awarded a TRIP grant for $1.5 million for on 31, and that's going to be huge for our area. So basically, the mayor, Garrison, and Senator Arthur Orr and I, we met, and that's when that first went to the table. And from there, it evolved to him preparing the paperwork, going to the A-TRIP committee, which Senator Orr sits on, which absolutely helps us in our area. From there, there's always matching funds. It's very rarely that there's a 100% grant you're going to receive. We've been working on a grant for a special needs playground, and it's been difficult right now, but you have to figure out, number one, how much does this municipality have, and how much can they give towards this project? Well, some of them are 20% match, and a couple $1 million match, that's pretty big. So it just depends, where they're at. I've got one, City of West Point, that's wanting to do one, and they have to, it depends on how much funding they have. From that's kind of where it goes. You can apply for different grants, but they're always match. Just like the Hartsville Farmers Market, I had to come up and raise. Well, we as a group, we raised, I think it was $50,000 to $75,000. From there, RC&D took care of the rest, and they were able to give us the rest of the funds that we needed. So there's always a matching.
Yes, that's right. And the value of that is that shows that the city really has an investment, and there is a benefit for the city, that they see equally that there's a benefit. And so matching funds is not a bad thing.
It
Just
It
speaks
shows
to
your
the
commitment.
Right, shows the commitment, shows the validity of the project. So anything more you want to add to that?
I think Scott highlighted that pretty well. Yeah.
Good. All right. And anything that you all have influence over as far as marketing communities? For example, the city of Hartsville wants to increase its visibility maybe across the southeast. Is there any influence that you have about helping to market communities outside of its little region?
Well, I was going to say, I think there's a tourism department here, and also, the Economic Development Association, as well as the city government itself, does a tremendous job in being able to market and, push out there what all the wonderful things that we do have to offer. And I think it really helps attract and bring people into our communities here. And, it's something that, I personally would be happy to help with anything that comes along, that needs to be addressed, or, things that we need to be doing to help attract and draw more attention to the wonderful things we do have to offer here.
Okay. Anything, Scott, that you have to
Yeah,
say about
absolutely. I'm actually going to take this opportunity to plug in something that we are marketing and pushing right now. It is the Morgan County, it's called the Agricultural Tour and Tourism Tour. And Jeff Johnson with the Morgan County Economic Development Board, we met with him over Zoom a couple of times, and we've been in conversations with him. But it's a wonderful opportunity to showcase our Reeves Peach Farms, our champion farms. So basically, it's going to be an app, and you pull that app up, and you start clicking. It shows you where to go, what times are open, and that's something that is key. I'm really looking forward to it, especially with Reeves being on top of the list, because that's a showcase piece for us, right? Very excited about that and what they're doing. But like Parker said, we whatever we can do to help promote, we do. And we are in meetings all the time with different companies and people from different regions, and we're promoting our area, of course. And, little things like the tourism tour, that's going to be so great once it kicks off. But once again, the pandemic's in the way, and we have to wait until it's safe and all that good stuff. But, there's a lot going on, and it's hard to see everything because of everybody just being at home.
And I think to just echo and say amen to what y'all are saying, we have a very vibrant visitors and tourism bureau here in the Morgan
Absolutely.
County area. We also have our North Alabama Lakes visitors and tourism.
Mountains and lakes, yeah.
And Mountain Lakes, they do a terrific job also, and those funds come primarily from the stays, the hotel stays, the taxes that come from that, but also the work that you all do to help make sure that they're well funded. So those things are important, and us having Reeves, having this new farm that recently opened, the agritourism, Hidden Rivers Farm down in here in Hartselle and Danville, and so those things really help. And the more that we have of that, the more that it attracts and it helps us to be able to showcase it. Let me just ask this question though, just to help the community understand a little bit more. What opportunities are there for matching funds to enhance our communities? What does that look like at the state level as far as what kind of funds come through your hands? What processes do you have to go through in order to help get them allocated for projects that the different cities might have? And I've been learning about this from the municipal level, but I'd love to hear it from the state level. Let's say the city of Hartselle has a project, road work, maybe, for example, the sidewalk project that came through. What kind of funds come through the hands of our state legislators, and what kind of work do you all have to do in order to get them allocated?
So recently, City of Hartselle was just awarded a trip grant for $1.5 million for on 31, and that's going to be huge for our area. So basically, the mayor, Garrison, and Senator Arthur Orr and I, we met, and that's when that first went to the table. And from there, it evolved to him preparing the paperwork, going to the A-Trip committee, which Senator Orr sits on, which absolutely helps us in our area. From there, there's always matching funds. It's very rarely that there's 100% grant you're going to receive. We've been working on a grant for a special needs playground, and it's been difficult right now, but you have to figure out, number one, how much does this municipality have, and how much can they give towards this project? Well, some of them are 20% match, and a couple $1 million match, that's pretty big. So it just depends, where they're at. I've got one, City of West Point, that's wanting to do one, and they have to, it depends on how much funding they have. From that's kind of where it goes. You can apply for different grants, but they're always match. Just like the Hartselle Farmers Market, I had to come up and raise. Well, we as a group, we raised, I think it was $50,000 to $75,000. From there, RC&D took care of the rest, and they were able to give us the rest of the funds that we needed. So there's always a matching.
Yes, that's right. And the value of that is that shows that the city really has an investment, and there is a benefit for the city, that they see equally that there's a benefit. And so
right.
Matching funds is not a bad thing.
That's
It just
It
speaks
shows your
to
commitment.
Right, shows the commitment, shows the validity of the project. So anything more you want to add to that?
I think Scott highlighted that pretty well. Yeah.
Good. All right. And anything that you all have influence over as far as marketing communities? For example, the city of Hartselle wants to increase its visibility maybe across the southeast. Is there any influence that you have about helping to market communities outside of its little region?
Well, I was going to say, I think there's a tourism department here, and also, the Economic Development Association, as well as the city government itself, does a tremendous job in being able to market and push out there what all the wonderful things that we do have to offer. And I think it really helps attract and bring people into our communities here. And it's something that I personally would be happy to help with anything that comes along, that needs to be addressed, or, things that we need to be doing to help attract and draw more attention to the wonderful things we do have to offer here.
Okay. Anything, Scott, that you have to
Yeah,
say about
absolutely. I'm actually going to take this opportunity to plug in something that we are marketing and pushing right now. It is the Morgan County, it's called the Agricultural Tour and Tourism Tour. And Jeff Johnson with the Morgan County Economic Development Board, we met with him over Zoom a couple of times, and we've been in conversations with him. But it's a wonderful opportunity to showcase our Reeves Peach Farms, our champion farms. So basically, it's going to be an app, and you pull that app up, and you start clicking. It shows you where to go, what times are open, and that's something that is key. I'm really looking forward to it, especially with Reeves being on top of the list, because that is that's a showcase piece for us, right? Very excited about that and what they're doing. But like Parker said, we whatever we can do to help promote, we do. And we are in meetings all the time with different companies and people from different regions, and we're promoting our area, of course. And, little things like the tourism tour, golly, that's going to be so great once it kicks off. But once again, the pandemic's in the way, and we have to wait until it's safe and all that good stuff. But, there's a lot going on, and it's hard to see everything because of everybody just being at home.
And I think to just echo and say amen to what y'all are saying, we have a very vibrant visitors and tourism bureau here in the Morgan County area. We also have our North Alabama Lakes visitors and tourism.
Mountains and lakes, yeah.
And Mountain Lakes. They do a terrific job also, and those funds come primarily from the stays, the hotel stays, the taxes that come from that, but also the work that you all do to help make sure that they're well funded. So those things are important, and us having Reeves, having this new farm that recently opened, the agritourism, Hidden Rivers Farm down in here in Hartselle and Danville, and so those things really help. And the more that we have of that, the more that it attracts and helps us to be able to showcase it. The way that I had organized our questions is based on the 5 different areas that the Chamber focuses our work. So those 5 areas are community enhancement, business development, legislative affairs, leadership and networking, and then our workforce and education. So that's how I want to kind of go through this. We might get on a bunny trail, and that's okay. But just to start out, you already mentioned several of the improvement projects that Hartselle has been able to engage in because of your work in the legislature. And one of the things that I think maybe people don't understand that we want to address a little bit today is how much impact do you really have at the state level to make community improvements here at a local level. So I'm going to ask these questions, and that might be some of what we come out with. These questions all came from the community, a variety of different representatives in the community. So, hopefully they'll represent your questions. I wish you could be here in person, but for safety's sake, we are doing this virtually. So hopefully this will represent the questions that are in the community's minds as well. So first of all, the entire North Alabama area will see significant growth in the next 2 to 5 years. I think we all agree with that. The Toyota plant coming online, a business with, that's a typo there. I'm going to start over again. All right. The entire North Central Alabama area will see a significant growth in the next 2 to 5 years. The Toyota plant coming online with businesses to support the manufacturing of that plant and production of vehicles, along with the recent announcement of Space Force coming to Huntsville. How will the state delegates support the smaller cities that don't have a large dedicated economic development department? Now, of course, Hartselle, we don't have a dedicated economic development department within our city. The Chamber tries to fill some of those gaps. And of course, we have our Morgan County Economic Development Association, which I know you chair. So maybe you can explain to the community a little bit about how that works and how you as a state representative can impact economic development here in Hartselle.
Good question. I guess the first thing is the Morgan County Economic Development Association, as most everyone watching this knows, we made an investment years ago in the Morgan Center. And unfortunately, as you probably know, the Morgan Center is still unoccupied, and we don't have yet our first occupant, or tenant, or a business that has chosen to locate there. It's been shown to quite a few prospects, and continues to be shown. We've got a good prospect even right now that is considering that site. You move to the recent Cerro Wire announcement, which I think was a good thing, certainly for Hartselle and for Morgan County, and to see that expansion happening here in Hartselle and the investment that'll be coming and the jobs with the Cerro Wire right to the west of the Morgan Center. As far as trying to get the spinoff or the companies from Mazda Toyota to locate here, most of the tier one suppliers, or all the tier ones, they want right next to the park, so they're going to be in Limestone County. Others have chosen to locate there closer in Limestone County in the Athens area, right west of the park as well. But going forward, because of Hartselle's school system and a great place to live, you'll certainly see a lot more in the way, I would think, of population growth, people choosing to live here. And that's the reason residential development that I know, Missy, you've been involved with and the chamber has, and the city council and the mayor's office, expanding that at least to capture those people who will be moving to the area. And if we can get them, I'll put my Morgan County hat on. I represent Limestone and Madison as well. But if Morgan County can capture those individuals, it will certainly be good for Morgan County and Hartselle because they'll shop here and eat here and bank here and doctor and lawyer, et cetera. It certainly makes it good for everyone, even though a plant proper may not locate within the borders of Morgan County or Hartselle. So we do tend to benefit from the increase in population. We'll see some growth, but one challenge that we have when you speak about Hartselle specifically is we don't have a rail site located here. We're very limited now in Morgan County as far as where railroad goes and is. And trying to find a rail site can be a challenge in Morgan County. They have some in eastern Lawrence County, right across the county line, but the sites are either too hilly or you have a whole lot of property owners when it comes to rail sites, and you need a lot of acres to accommodate one. But all in all, I think the future's bright.
Absolutely. I'm asking you more for my own education as well, but when you speak of a rail site, you mean new rail lines, or do you mean
I mean
location?
A place where a large company needs 200 acres, say, plus you need an ability to run the rail parallel with, let's just take the CSX line that comes through Hartselle. You'd need a mile, half a mile to a mile of track to peel off and be able to service the big plant that needs that rail access.
I see. So it's really about a plant needing the additional space for that rail access.
Exactly, and to be right next to the rail site.
Yes, okay, that makes perfect sense. Okay, well, I'm going to move on here to a few other community questions. This is specifically for you. Why do we continue to have full-time county commissioners? Most counties have fewer, and they are part-time. So why does Morgan County, in your opinion, why do they continue to have full-time county commissioners?
Yeah, this is an interesting issue, and I hear occasionally from people about it. Just to give your viewers a little bit of context, Morgan County has the district system, and by that you have full-time commissioners that have their districts and supervise their districts. That system is in the gross minority. I think I could be off by 1 or 2. There are probably around 8 of the 67 counties, 8, 9 that are still in the district system. The rest have gone to a unit system. And that is more like a city council type, where the commissioners assume a city council type role. It's part-time. They do meet, obviously, during the month. The chair role is many times full-time, but they meet, they're part-time, and the district engineer is responsible, or the county engineer, responsible for all the road management. And if there's a problem in a particular commissioner's district, he, like a city council person, would go and say, we need to fix or patch this road. I'm hearing from my constituents, et cetera. The unit system is by and large the preferred means, and because it's lower cost. I think our commissioners here in Morgan County do a very good job. We have a good commission, but the lower cost model is out there. I'm recalling there was a bill that Representative Ed Henry, when he was in the legislature, he introduced a bill that attempted to address the type system that we have now. It didn't go very far. It was late in the session. But eventually, I think Morgan County has to have that conversation. Do you want to keep the system that you have, or do you want to try for a perhaps lower cost model? The downside of that lower cost model is that many times that you don't get the representation or the more immediate response that you get with a commissioner sitting in the seat, full-time seat, as opposed to county engineer running the road. So lots of back and forth on that, but that's it as I know it.
Yeah. So if we choose to see it as a positive, we get great representation with this full-time district model.
Well, as long as you've got good responsive commissioners, yes, and I think that's good. But again, a lot of counties have said we can't afford it, and they go to the lower cost model.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. That's helpful. All right. I got another one for you. Again, this is addressing a little bit about how much you at the state level can address issues here in Hartselle. So I think that's a helpful conversation to continue to have, is that, yesterday some of the conversations that we had, we had to acknowledge that it takes everyone. It takes the community member all the way to the state representative to make an impact on a community. So what have you found to be the biggest obstacle to economic development for Hartselle? It seems, and maybe it's just maybe my perception is wrong, this is the questioner, that the towns around us, such as Coleman and Athens, are growing at a faster rate than Hartselle, even though it seems like Hartselle has the same resources to offer: good school system, proximity to 85, et cetera. So to recap that again, what do you think is the biggest obstacle to economic development in Hartselle?
If I knew it off the top of my head, I would have tried to address it. We've got 2 interstate exits. Coleman got a 3rd recently, but they, of course, occupy a lot more of the interstate. One of the things we've looked at is an interstate interchange there as Bethel Road crosses over the interstate, and it's even part of a study that's ongoing with the MPO to try to address. And to me, that will help South Priceville, North Hartselle, and get a lot of the congestion off of 36 trying to get to and from the interstate. As far as Coleman, I don't know if that's the situation where they're the county seat and strategically located there right on the outskirts of Birmingham, more closer than Hartselle. I do know that a lot of times you're dependent on what companies come knocking and what companies are looking at your area. With the internet today, they are able to scope out and see your area, know about your schools, your housing, your household income, all those little factors they do before they come calling. And I'm afraid for Morgan County as a whole, we've not grown as a county, and that concerns me greatly as far as population growth. Decatur has not grown as a city. Hartselle has grown some, but again, you look at all the great resources here, and you wonder, why hasn't Hartselle grown more than it has? Athens and Coleman, both county seats, being loose comparators, I still scratch my head on that of why we haven't. But it's a problem for all of Morgan County. And what's interesting, Missy, is that you see companies is even locating or deciding to be here, but then you see a lot of the senior leadership choosing to live outside of Morgan County and commute in to their place of work that's in Morgan County. Several years ago, we were an exporter of workers. In other words, people lived here and they worked in Huntsville or wherever, but that's been turned on its head here in the last 2 years. We're an importer of workers. So as a county, we're importing more workers living outside the county. They work here and then they go back home. And again, I can point to Decatur and the lack of residential development there. I know Hartselle's kind of getting ahead of that now, which is good, but it just is a very troubling matter, because you know the old adage, if you're not growing, it's not a good thing.
Yeah, and it's so much of perception is reality, because I think we would boast here in Morgan County and in Hartselle in particular that we have a terrific quality of life. But communicating that message is maybe where we've stumbled some, and can improve that. And I see it improving dramatically in the last even 18 months since I've been here. But yeah, these are great points. And I think also that need for us to attract grow our own, attract our young people to come back, creating a community where people are excited to return after they've gone and gotten their education, their training, that they're not taking that to another community, they're coming back here. Those are important issues. If there are concerns, those authorities would need to be reconsidered at the legislative
we could pass
later.
a law and say you don't have the authority to pass a rule, which he did, where public can comment, and it's a procedural type step that's done. You give out public notice, the public has a right to comment, and make a rule, have a rulemaking there in the Secretary of State's office. If we believe as a legislature he exceeded his authority, we can certainly limit that going forward.
Yes, that's helpful. That's helpful. I think it's reassuring to know that you all are still, at the end of the day, y'all are the ones that are able to oversee what our Secretary of State is doing. And
well, the
giving
problem
authorities
is
it
we're
needs.
not in session all the time, and that's, he made the rulemaking, I believe, during the summer. The legislature had adjourned. What recourse do we have to say, no, we don't agree with that, we don't approve of that? Very little. So that's always a problem, because we're not a full-time legislature.
Yeah.
Not advocating for that, but
Yeah.
we're limited on what we can do.
Okay. In terms of that, is there a reason why you would or would not initiate putting forth a letter from Alabama to Congress supporting term limits, to our U.S. Congress?
Right. I've voted for this in the past. We had resolutions and things like they've not been successful. Believe that it is best that at the federal level we have term limits, and then have voted for this at the state level that we have term limits, and believe strongly that it would help the system better. Now, some people say 8 years. I think somewhere between 12 and 16 should be the maximum. Some states find that if they make them too short, it creates a situation where the lobbyists and the bureaucrats are in charge, because your legislators are too new or too green and don't understand the process very well, and it puts those that are there for decades in charge, in a sense. So there is an area there, but I don't believe the founders had in mind a perpetual group. I mean, people say, well, you've been in there a while, but I see it until we pass a uniform rule, I'm a little bit concerned about just saying, okay, because term limits, I'm going to hang it up. And then other legislators are in there for 25, 30 years, however long, and they're able to get positions to help their areas, and I step down just as a this area goes back to zero, so to speak, as far as the seniority that the membership has.
Yes, that's good.
We want to thank you for joining in to this event. We hope you found it educational, and we hope that you learned something and became a little bit closer to our legislators and our legislative process. The Governmental Affairs Committee is going to offer several other opportunities throughout the year, one being a trip to Montgomery to meet with our legislators. We're also going to be having a State of the City address, a State of the Schools address, a State of Healthcare address, and we're also going to be reaching into the local communities to hear about what's going on with some of our surrounding areas. Lastly, we're going to be working to develop our public policy agenda for the 2021-2022 year, and we're asking for volunteers. We would love to have you join in, make your voice heard, and be a part of our committee as we move forward and work to move Hartselle in the right direction.
If these sessions have been helpful to you, please take a moment and reach out to your state legislator or senator and let him know how much. You can find a way to contact them at our website at www.hartsellechamber.com and go to our legislative resources page. We hope you understand that the Hartselle Area Chamber of Commerce exists to serve you. As a nonprofit, we accomplish the task of helping to make Hartselle and the surrounding area a better place to live, work, and play through volunteer leadership. So come join us. Find a way to plug in and to get involved and work together to help make this the best place to live, to work, and to play.